Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Awaken Your Authentic Self. I'm your host, Jessica Rooks, and today we are having a conversation that I believe will shift something fundamental inside of you. How many of us were taught that our feelings were inconvenient, that to cry was weakness, that anger needed to be shut down, that excitement was too much? We learned to fake it, not for ourselves, but for everyone else's comfort. And at some point, if we're lucky, we reach that breaking point where faking is no longer tolerable. We either break through or we break down. My guest today knows both sides of that journey intimately. She's walked through the darkness of wanting to escape her own life, and she's emerged into a space where her heart literally overflows with gratitude for the woman she sees in the mirror every single day. And now, she's dedicated her life to showing others that same path. Tamara Zoner is an award-winning keynote speaker, certified happiness trainer, and the vibrant host of the Spirit Cafe podcast. She's a Reiki Master Teacher, ordained minister, and a show not tell single mom to 3 awesome kids who demonstrate daily what it means to create a life you truly love. With her unique blend of spirituality, self-love, and radical practicality, Tamara teaches the science-backed habits and actions of authentic happiness. Not the toxic positivity kind, but the real sustainable from the inside out kind. If you've been waking up to the realization that you deserve to feel fully alive, that you are meant to do more than just survive until you die, then this conversation is definitely for you. Tamara, welcome to Awaken Your Authentic Self. I am so grateful that you are here.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm so glad to be here.
I feel like this has been a long time coming for us right now.
You might say that, yeah.
Well, Tamara, I would love to get started at that pivotal moment. The one that so many of us in this community have experienced or are experiencing right now. You've spoken openly about knowing what it's like to want to escape your life, to feel deeply uncomfortable being you. And then you transform that into overflowing gratitude and genuine self-love. Can you take us into that moment when you shifted from just surviving to truly living? And what was the catalyst that made you say enough to faking it for others' comfort?
I think it's, a lot of little moments that built up, but there are 2 pivotal pieces, and I'll share with the one that actually I made the decision to change my life. And that was a visit home after 2 years of living abroad. Just my 3 kids and I came to visit my family, and I was that I had just become a certified facilitator in this tool that I still use today. And I was practicing on family and friends that I hadn't seen in years. And in this tool, I prep my clients and I say, okay, you're going to write a list now of the 10 things that you want to be, do, feel, and have in your life. And this isn't where you'll write down what you'll settle for or what would be good enough or what you think you can manage to get to. But this is where you shoot for the stars and you let your heart sing. What do you really want life to look and feel like? And as I said those words, I felt this discord in my entire being and this voice almost, you're settling.
Wow.
You are lying.
Wow.
Yeah. And I felt myself in that moment. I have this weird sort of phrase. I felt myself land in my own feet.
Right.
And I knew I had to take different steps forward. And the catalyst for that moment was a couple of years prior. when I looked in my middle child's face as I completely lost my you-know-what, my temper, we'll say, and was yelling at my 6-year-old, and I could see fear in their eyes. And I woke up to that was not okay with me anymore. I was making excuses for still yelling at my kids and having this woman come out of me that I never wanted to be, that I recognized, but only as my own mother,
Right.
someone I swore I wouldn't become. And there I was. And that's really what started me on a path toward change and recognizing, and if not honoring my truth in those moments, at least being willing to admit the truth. Like, life was not good. I was taking out my anger and resentment on the younger, littler people because goodness knows it's a lot harder to bully a bully.
Right.
And in that moment, I knew I had to make some hard changes.
That is so powerful. And I think that what you're describing really is that sacred moment of awakening when we finally give ourselves the permission to stop performing. And
yes,
that leads me to something I know my listeners are navigating right now. In your mastery of self-love work, you guide people into a completely new relationship with themselves. For someone listening who spent decades, maybe their entire life, with that critical inner voice, the one that learned feelings were weakness. What's the first tangible shift that they can make today? Like, how do we begin to parent ourselves differently than we were parented?
Beautiful question. The first step I always start with is greater awareness. And greater awareness without judgment. So we want to begin by simply noticing the way that we're talking to ourselves, the way that we react when we drop our phone or trip over something or forget an event on the calendar. How do we talk to ourselves in those mistake moments? Are we criticizing ourselves and calling ourselves names? Or do we simply say, oops? And most of us are criticizing ourselves.
Right.
And saying, oh, how stupid I am. I can't believe I did that. What's wrong with me? So I don't want you to fix or change anything to begin with. I simply want you to start observing that very behavior. And I say, do that for a whole week. Just observe yourself and do your very best, and it won't always work, to not judge yourself for judging yourself or criticize yourself for criticizing yourself. Just notice, oops, there it is. Okay, I see it. I am witnessing my own experience for a week. We start right there because we cannot change what we cannot see.
That's very true. That is very true. And I love that because in doing so, you're honoring both the spiritual journey and the practical steps. And that balance really is
speak to when we cannot hear.
Exactly. That's very important, especially when we're doing this deep inner work. So this brings me to something I think about personally often. As both a happiness trainer and someone deeply rooted in spirituality, how do you help people distinguish between authentic happiness and spiritual bypassing? Because when we're on a path of awakening and we're facing our shadows, doing that real uncomfortable work, how do we hold both the darkness and the light without forcing the positivity?
We practice.
Yes, we practice.
We practice. It's a lot of practicing. And again, it starts with that noticing, oh, I don't want to feel this, so I'm going to immediately think, and I did this myself, so I only teach what I have lived and what I have learned. And I would feel uncomfortable in anger because anger felt unsafe. And so I would be like, oh, well, there's a reason and there's a lesson, and I'm just going to skip straight to looking for that. And that doesn't work. And it took me seeing my closest friends rage for me. And they were like, well, if you're not going to be mad, if you're just going to go straight to forgiveness, then I'm going to be mad for you. And I at some point said, well, wait a second, that's mine.
Right.
Give it back. I have to do something with this. And that's where I really learned to sit with my feelings, whatever was rising up. And what I noticed, Jessica, was that when I was willing to be there with myself and not run away from it and not try to just forgive or learn for the lesson, look for the lesson and the good, which that's all there and we'll
Right.
get there. But when I sat there in my discomfort and in the feeling of wanting to run away, but I stayed, like those uncomfortable emotions and the sensations that come along with them, they passed in just a few breaths or a few minutes, and maybe they would cycle back up and I'd do the whole thing again. But I learned to sit with it, feel it. And in that feeling it and being present with it, it released, it softened. And each time it would cycle back, because healing is a process and it's
Right.
not linear. And we sometimes have to repeat the layers. It would go faster and faster. And with practice, I stopped fearing my heightened emotions or my reactions, and I started validating them. Like,
Right.
yeah, you can feel that. Yes, that thing that someone just said to you or did to your kids, like that's valid anger. Feel that.
Right.
And then I could move beyond it. And then later I can go, okay, now what did I learn from that experience and how did it help me grow? But in the moment, if we just skip it, we don't actually get the growth. We store it in our bodies. And I often say, if you ignore it, you store it. And if you feel it, you can begin to heal it.
I love that. And it's so true. I mean, I think, especially for so many of us on this spiritual journey, it's you're so used to a certain way of reacting to those negative emotions that it's most people will say, okay, well, you just kind of need to deal with it and not let it affect you. No, it still does affect you. I mean, I recently
Right.
had this experience just yesterday, no, 2 days ago at the beach. You know, somebody was drunk on the beach and came by us and really just affected me in a way because I just like looked at him and I was like, what are you doing? And then like I caught myself. I said, you know, I'm going back now. Like I felt my inner like Bronx girl come out for like a half a second. But then I had to like tell myself, you know, it's okay to be angry about this in a human way. But in the same token, it's how I respond to this that's going to help me grow. You know,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I took that away. But you know, to me, the challenge is a test. And that's how I view it. It's a challenge and it's a test. And I like to pass my tests. So,
I like to pass mine too. And if we try to just, skip the studying, we
right.
don't do so well on our tests.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? It gives people permission to be fully human on their spiritual path.
Yes, right? Which almost feels like an oxymoron, but we came here for a reason, I
Exactly.
believe. And so we need to be in these human bodies, and we can't just go, oh, well, I'm going to go to the spiritual realm. No, we're on the physical plane, so let's be here because we chose to be here from my perspective.
Exactly. Now, I want to talk about something you're known for. This
Okay.
beautiful tool that helps people get clear on what it is that they truly want. The passion test is your number one tool for helping people identify what they truly want to be, to do, feel, or have right now. And I'm thinking about so many in our community who are in their second act of life, maybe retired, empty nested, or completely reinventing themselves. How does this process help them move from who was I supposed to be to who am I choosing to become?
So this is the process that I was talking about at the very beginning of our conversation. And you can utilize the passion test anywhere you are in life. And it's especially poignant when you're in this place of not knowing or transition. Because what we do is we start the process of clarity. So we first of all, we talk about how we actually create and manifest in our lives, and whether we're consciously creating or not, we're always creating.
Right.
So what would it look like if we made it a little more of a conscious process? So let's look at what our beliefs are, what our thoughts are, what we've been creating, and all we have to do is look around to see that, and then decide, what do I really want? And you might think, well, I want to be a best-selling author. Great, write that down.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might think, I want to feel healthy and vibrant in the skin that I'm in. Great, write that down. Whatever you think you want, you write it down, and we make a list of about 10 to 12 things. And then we go through a process of questioning. So I'll ask you to compare that list, one thing to the next, and you choose. And you choose based on how it feels. So if my two passions, let's say, are, well, when my life is ideal, I am a best-selling author. Or when my life is ideal, I am in a soulmate relationship that lights me up in every fiber of my being.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which feels better? And we feel into that because the truth lives in our body.
Right.
And then we go with that gut or heart instinct, and we get down eventually to the top 5 things that we want to do, be, feel, or have. And then I teach you how to align your life with those things so that you can work differently than society has taught you, so that you can choose in favor of the things that make you feel alive, that light you up, that open your heart. And that takes support, and that takes community of like-hearted people doing similar things. And so just the process itself, sure, you can go through the list and you'll get your top 5 things. But making new choices in life isn't always so easy.
Mm-hmm.
And living in a more conscious way isn't so easy in this unconscious world. And so it's super juicy if people are willing to accept some support, or at least be in community with other people who are living in a similar way.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful,
Yeah,
because
it changes lives.
yeah, that right there is the idea that we really get to choose, and that we are not locked into old stories.
Right. And that's, one of the things that appealed to me, and why when I did finally leave my marriage and move home, I knew that I had to surround myself with people who also believed that you could create anything you wanted in your life, anything humanly possible, we can create, and not just stay with people who believe you just have to take what you get, or life throws balls at you and you have to catch them, or avoid them. No, I think you can make life what you want it to be. And that does require some deep work and awareness, and a willingness to practice these tools every day. But it's worth it every time.
Absolutely. Now, and what I'm hearing is that this isn't just an individual journey, because you emphasize surrounding yourself with people on a similar path of awakening.
Mm-hmm.
In your Spirit Cafe community and in your work, what have you witnessed about how one person's commitment to authentic happiness impacts their relationships and their community? And how does individual transformation become collective awakening?
Oh, God, I love that. I just love the sound of that question and the feeling that it brings into my body. I truly believe that we can all have this better world that we talk about and dream of, one happier, more conscious person at a time. Because if I am depleted and drained, and I'm trying to serve my community, whether it's my children or my church or a school or a career, but I'm depleted and I'm serving from this empty place, well, it's not really service, is it?
Right.
When I feed and nourish my soul with the things and the people that light me up and fill me up, then I create an impact on the people around me. And I see this every day. People always tell me, "Oh, Tamara, it's just nice to be around you. Your smile, you're so uplifting. I love your energy." I'm just being who I am from a nourished space, and people feel that energy and they're impacted by it. So if we're all walking around nourished, and human beings, we are wired for connection, not just to go find some, but we literally can't avoid the connection.
Right.
We are all energy. We're all impacting. You walk into a room, you feel the energy of the people in it, whether it's
Absolutely.
right, whether you're like, ooh, this feels good, I want to be in this space, or oh, I don't think I want to walk in here. Our hearts are emitting this energy, and actually it can be measured 8 to 10 feet out from around our being. So it's like, it's there, it's real, it's not just an idea. So one person's commitment to themselves and their journey impacts everybody around them. So I have literally changed generations. I don't even have to see these people born yet to know that I've made an impact, that my client who has done similar work and changed her relationships with her children has just influenced generations.
Right.
And so, right? Like
Yes.
I impact a client, she impacts her whole community. That community, it's ripple effects. And that's how we change the world. One of us at a time. And then I touch your heart, and then you touch your partners or your kids or your communities, and we change the world. And it may be idealistic, and I'm okay with that.
I'm right
And
there
I
with
also
you.
believe that it's true. Right?
I'm right there with you. Absolutely. That's why I smile everywhere I go. Like there people say, you are always smiling. I'm like, why shouldn't I be?
Yes,
because to
why
me,
shouldn't I be?
even if somebody doesn't reciprocate it, to me, they still need it. And at some point they may think about it and go, you know what? That person like smiled at me, and just, they might smile at the back end. Who knows?
Right. Right. And I just try to, like, when I'm out in the world and there are people who are not feeling it, I just beam
Mhm.
love.
Mhm.
I just will beam love at them, and I will hope that whatever is going on for them lightens and lessens, and like hopefully they can at least feel and absorb some of my energy and let it touch them, whether they cognitively are aware of it or not. We're making a difference in the way that we be around others.
Absolutely. I call them energetic hugs. I throw them out there.
Yes. Yeah, I love that.
Oh, Tamara, you teach 7 main habits of happiness based on scientific research. I know it's a lot to ask for all 7, but can you share 2 or 3 of these habits that specifically support spiritual awakening and conscious living? And how do these evidence-based practices complement our intuitive spiritual work?
Ooh, I love that. Okay, you might have to ask me that last part of the question again
I got you.
when I get through a couple of these habits. So, the first habit, God, they're all so good, but I think that they build on one another. And so the very first and most important one, that we cannot do the rest without this one, is taking personal responsibility for our happiness and well-being. And Jessica, when I say happiness, I'm using this term that means, in my work, an inner state of peace and well-being that doesn't depend on circumstances. So to get clear, it doesn't mean I'm skipping through fields of sunflowers or I'm joyful all of the time. It means that I have practiced the habits to the point where I experience most of the time, not all of the time, an inner state of peace and well-being.
Mhm.
That doesn't matter what my weather's like or who's in charge or how much I get paid. What matters is that I can return to this state because I have tools that I use, that I know how to use, that I practice. So to take responsibility for my own happiness creates an empowered experience. Because if I say, for instance, which a lot of people may recognize themselves in some statement like this, well, I'll be happy when
Mhm.
it's summertime, or I'll be happy when my kids call me more often or are respectful. I'll be happy when I get that promotion, or I'll be happy when I find my soulmate.
They're looking for outside
As
sources of happiness. Mhm.
exactly. And even we can like take it historically. Well, I can't be happy because I was in an abusive marriage and I have trauma from that. So
Mhm.
I can't be happy. Well, girl, how about take your power back?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right? So if I'm giving the power to my ex-husband or my mother or the government or the weather, then where's mine? How am I able to influence my own life? The answer is I'm not.
Right.
So I choose to take 100% radical responsibility for the experience that I'm creating all of the time. Because then if I don't like it, I can change it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So that's my number one. And a lot of people will say here, well, it's not my fault, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
No, it's not your fault.
But
It's not my fault that I was abused in a marriage, but it's my responsibility now to do the work to heal.
exactly. It's my responsibility to take power and control of my life.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So how we respond to something is a choice at this point,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're not in it anymore. We can choose differently.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So that's
I love that
number
one.
one. Yeah. It's so vital. And I don't actually believe you can do any of this work if you don't own that first piece.
Right.
And then I'll give you, gosh, now I'm going to choose a second one. I'll tell you, like a year ago even, I probably would have gone straight to the mind because it is such a vital part. Our thinking, we're thinking all the time, right? We think on average 60,000 thoughts a day. And 80% of those thoughts are negative. So I love the mindset work, but what I've come to know is that before the mindset work, we actually, and I'll combine body and soul here because I think they're one thing actually. So if I were to lay out the 7 habits, there would be one of your body, taking care of the body, and then there would be another one taking care of the soul, like how do you nourish your soul, meditation or prayer or connection in nature, and then the body, get enough sleep, nourishment. But really the soul lives in the body, at least right now, because here we are on this earth. And so I feel like before we can constructively do the mindset work, which is my third favorite, we have got to be in the house we live in. We have to be in our bodies. We have to be connected to the body. We have to be able to recognize when we are hungry or trying to comfort ourselves. We have to be able to recognize when something feels like a yes, I want this, or a no, this will not serve me. And that is in developing an awareness of the body and its natural responses to different stimuli. So I want people, again, then this comes back to awareness, like I talked about initially, being aware of the body. Where do I hold stress? And so, again, I'll say for a whole week, just notice your body. Notice throughout the day, like do a body scan 3 times a day where you just stop everything. And maybe the only time you have, I love to work with super busy people because I'll say, if the only time you have is when you stop to pee, you should be doing that at least 3 times a day, or you need to drink more water. If that's the only time you have, I like to make it practical, right? So, and I like to make it possible for people, no matter what their life circumstances. So everybody pees. So when you're in that bathroom, take 1 minute, 5 breaths to simply notice your body head to toe. Is your forehead scrunched? Is your jaw locked? Could you drop your shoulders away from your ears? Are you clenching your stomach? Lots of women walk around with their stomach clenched all the time. How about your hands? I didn't realize until I started doing this work that I will literally hold stress in my fingers and they will clench. And so I'll just consciously relax. So if we can start to become more body aware, noticing where we're holding tension, and then consciously starting to drop out of that tension and allow the heart to open a little bit and breathe a little bit deeper, then now our nervous system can learn how to also soften and relax. Right. So that when we do the mental tools, the thinking parts of happiness habits, our body feels safe enough to do that work.
I had to learn how to drop the shoulders. That was me.
Oh, it's an experience, right?
It truly is. Yes. I love to tell people, when you're trying to feel in your body, because people say, how do I know if that's meant for me or not meant for me? And I'm like, well, when you think about it, how does it make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel in your solar plexus like, wow, this feels really, really good, then it's probably meant for you. And if you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
anxious behind it, makes you feel upset, if you get a little sweat in your brow with the thought of it, then it's not meant for you. Like right there is a
Right.
telltale, like listen to your body because it will never fail you.
Right. Although it's really important, and again, just to be aware of like, okay, what if I feel what I'm going to label anxiety, and then I say, well, that is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But because I haven't done the awareness work in my body, it's really excitement. And maybe it is for me, but I'm labeling it, I'm interpreting it as anxiety, so I'm going to stay away from it. When really, so I want people to learn how to differentiate. So we do in my work, especially if I'm working one-on-one long term with someone or in a like a longer form retreat. So we've got a few days together.
Mm-hmm.
We will start to basically muscle testing is the idea, but we're using our body because of what I've noticed too is that different people have a different experience. Most people, when they have a truth, an authentic yes,
Mm-hmm.
they will feel it high and light. So maybe solar plexus, maybe a little bit higher in the heart chakra.
Mm-hmm.
When it's a no, they'll feel it lower, deeper, kind of gut, and it will be weighty. It will be like a heaviness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a no, this does not serve me. This is not for me. Some people, I had this at a retreat last year. She was like, nope, I'm not getting that. And maybe she wasn't quite as practiced being in her body as some of us. But what worked for her was standing, asking herself a question that was true. Like, her name was, well, I'm not going to share her name. I'm going to make up a name. Her name was Liz, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, ask yourself, is my name Liz? And then she noticed, just like a pendulum, which way her body moved, forward or backwards. And then I would ask her, okay, ask yourself, is my name Tamara? Or my name, or make the statement, my name is Tamara. And now that's not true. We know that's not true. So now notice what happens in your body. And she noticed that she was leaning backwards away from my name is Tamara.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, there you go. That's your measurement tool right there. It's still your body. It's just landing a different way. So we just practice, asking true questions so we can identify what is true, what is yes, and how do we feel that in our bodies. And then we ask ourselves questions we know are false, right?
Yes.
I am not in Thailand right now, unfortunately. So I can easily ask myself, am I in Thailand? And notice that lands heavy in my belly. And if I ask or I say I am in Michigan, I immediately feel like this brightness in my heart because it's true.
Right. That's
So
actually a
just
tool.
tuning in.
That's a tool I use with foods, and to ask
Yes.
myself whether or not something is good for me to eat or not, or anything is good for my body.
Yeah.
And I'll move forward if it's a yes, or I'll move
Yeah.
backward if it's not. But one of the things I started doing when I started learning about energy and Reiki is I realized that whenever something was, and it's actually kind of makes me a little bit of a lie detector sometimes, I feel the energy in my hands or my feet, if it's a yes or a no.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. I love that food example too, because I'll ask my clients to practice a 3-part question,
Mm-hmm.
which is, do I want it? Is it good for me?
Mm-hmm.
And then, am I going to have it?
Ooh.
So it's like, if I want it, that might be a yes or a no. It might be a job opportunity. It might be a date. It could be some food. Do I want it? Yes or no? Will it serve me? Yes or no? And then those 2 questions together determine the third, like, am I going to have this, or not? So if I want it and will it serve me are yeses.
Right. There you go. Then you have your obvious answer.
Exactly. And it can be a cookie, like, right? Like, we don't have to be on all of the time. We need rest from this deep work. And so sometimes if, you've been healthy all week and you're making great choices, and then and then, the kids bring home a cookie or something, and you're like, well, do I want that cookie? Yeah. Will
Yeah.
it serve me? Oh, yeah, it actually does. Okay. Like, it's not always bad. You can have a cookie once in a while. We just don't want to eat the whole pack.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, your work focuses on supporting people struggling in transition.
Mm-hmm.
What's the spiritual invitation hidden within life's major transitions, divorce, career changes, loss, that most people miss when they're just trying to get through it?
The opening. I'm like feeling this in my body. They miss the opening and the opportunity and the invitation to step deeper into why they're here in the first place. Because when we're transitioning, and I'm being fully guided here to be transparent, these words are coming from source. When we are in transition, it is because something that wasn't bringing us closer to why we chose to incarnate here is in the way. And so we're moving through these transitions in order to open the door and step more fully into ourselves and our purpose. And that purpose can simply be to feel joy in your life. But if we cling to the pain of a loss or a transition, or that's how we choose to view it, it's a loss. I'll never get over this. This is grief. I can't move forward. Then they're right. We won't move forward in that case. But we miss the invitation and the opportunity to step more fully into what we're here for.
That's deep. I love that because it makes so much sense. I've known way too many people who I actually know someone personally who just says that she will never find happiness in her life. She's lost most of her family members and she feels like the only one that's left. And she says, why am I supposed to be happy? And I said, because you're here for yourself, not for them.
Yeah.
And you're doing all of you a disservice by choosing to live in that place.
Yeah. And it really is a choice, and it may not feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be a really hard thing to accept or even look at.
Mm-hmm.
But we're always at choice. And that right there, if we can accept that we are always at choice, even though our language might not suggest it, we might say, there is no choice. I'm miserable because of this, and this. That's the circumstance that happiness has nothing to do with, that I mentioned earlier in that definition. But we accept it at face value because it's maybe easier, but it's not.
It's not.
It's not, right?
It's really
the
not.
work. It's not. It's harder to be miserable.
It really is. And I've said that so many times. I'm like, now that I know what true happiness feels like, now what I know what it feels like, have peace and joy and this inner bliss. I'm like, I wasted so much energy in being miserable.
Right.
Because it really was harder. It was harder on my health. It was harder on my mental. It was harder on the emotional. It was harder on the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really does trickle around, down to everything and to everybody.
Yeah. Yes. And I mean, one of the things I love about life is that we can make whatever meaning we want to. None of us know 100% guaranteed what happens after we leave this physical realm. So why not make it up? We're telling ourselves stories all the time. Tell yourself a good one that serves you, that supports you, that allows you to feel alive.
It makes you wake up in the morning laughing. I mean, I wake up laughing.
Yeah. Right?
My soul partner is like, I don't know anybody who wakes up laughing. I'm just like, I can wake up telling a joke. It's like,
I love that.
Oh my goodness. Now you and I share something in common because I have to ask you now. You describe yourself as a karaoke enthusiast. I'm a karaoke queen.
All right.
But you also say you're a show, not tell single mom. How does bringing that playful, performative energy into your life reflect your happiness philosophy? And what does it teach us about not taking our spiritual journey too seriously?
As you were asking me this question, I had this image of a memory come up, and it was right after I'd left my marriage and the kids were still little, and we were living at my parents' house, which is my childhood home, and it's up on a hill. I mean, a hill for Michigan is not like a hill in California, but it's up on a hill, and it was winter, and it was time to go down to the bus stop, and the driveway was really icy and slippery. And for years and years, I had been shutting my favorite parts of me down because my ex didn't like those parts. Too loud, too much, too vibrant,
Yeah, I
including
relate
singing.
to that so well. So
Yeah.
extra was mine.
Yeah, so extra. So I was like, gosh, you know what an easier way to get down to the bus stop would be? Sledding.
I love it.
So we grabbed our sleds and we sled down the hill to the bus stop, and it was so much fun. And I remember, like, as you do when you hit the bottom of the hill, you like go rolling, and just laying there laughing and thinking, oh my God, I haven't had fun in so long. And it was like a part of me woke up again, and I loved it. And that right there is a gift. Like, can you imagine if you had grown up with a mom who was, I can't, right? Who had fun,
I can't.
like genuine laughter and joy, and was like, yeah, you be silly too. You have fun too. Like, this is what we get to do. That was a gift to myself, and that is a gift to my kids. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. So our joy is a vital part of our life. And if we shut it down because somebody or some society or some culture or some leader told us that we're too extra, too much, then we cut off our aliveness. And that is the spiritual journey, is to be who you are, but truly the essence of you. And I think so many of us come to this like sort of toward midlife because we all accept what people tell us when we're little. We're absorbing from 0 to 7, right? And then we just repeat, okay, here's what I learned. This is the patterns that I put together. This is what men are supposed to do, women are supposed to do. And if there's anything in between, that's probably not right. And now I'm going to just repeat, rinse, wash, repeat, rinse, wash, repeat. Then we find ourselves, like you and I surely did at some point, going, what the hell is this? This does not feel good. I don't think life is supposed to feel this awful. What do I do now? And then slowly but surely, we get the support that we need to help show us a different way. And when we move forward in that, like that gives permission. Again, it's just a ripple effect. I live vibrantly, so somebody looks at me and goes, oh, life could feel like that? All right, I'm in. Let me see how I can do this. And the more joy we experience, the more joy we spread. And that's our birthright. That is our birthright, Jessica, to feel alive in these bodies, in this world, no matter what is going on around us. And that is not to say that we will always feel blissful or like laughing when we wake up. Sometimes I'm grumpy in the morning. It is true. My cats are meowing at me and hungry and waking me up, and I'm like, oh. But when we accept that there's a full spectrum of feeling and emotion and sensation and experience, and we are willing to experience it all, like, we're doing the work. We're living on purpose. We're living the life we were meant to because we recognize that we are alive.
Exactly. And as much as we all want to say we're living, in the 5D, we're still, our human bodies are in a 3D experience.
Yeah. I mean, cool. 5D is great, but guess what? We're here. And
exactly. So have fun with it.
Be here. Yeah. and that helps us not take it too seriously too, to get back to that other point. Like, we're here for a while, not forever. So have some fun with it and know that mistakes are missed takes. And you can take 2, and you can take 3, and you can take 4, and just try again. I remember the first time I success. No, the first time I drove around a really big roundabout, it was like 7 or 8 lanes, and I was in the UK, and I had like a new driver on the back of the car sticker because I was like, I am not going to get this right. And I didn't. I missed my exit. I got honked at. I got over at the wrong time, and I went around again. And then I got a little closer, but I missed it again. And so I went around a third time.
Sound like
and
me in Spain.
Yeah, I finally got myself over to the right lane, to the right exit, and I got off, and I was like, oh, life is like a roundabout. We just keep going around until we figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. My big thing lately is I tell people, they'll tell me, how am I going about things the way that I am? How all of a sudden have I changed my whole lifestyle? And I said, because I finally learned that life is meant to live, not to just survive.
Yes. 100%.
I think I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
Do it.
Yes.
I'll buy it.
Excellent. I'm going to send it to you as my first customer.
I love it. Yes. We're meant to live.
Absolutely.
We're meant to thrive. We're not supposed to just get through and survive. That's not what we came here for.
No, absolutely not. Now, as a Reiki Master Teacher and a yoga instructor, how do you help people understand that happiness isn't just a mental state, but an embodied experience? Like, what role does the body play in authentic happiness that the self-help industry often overlooks?
Oh, good one. Well, we live in these bodies, first of all. Even though a lot of people are living in their heads. I think that one of the reasons I've done yoga since I was 18 years old and never actually thought I'd be a teacher. And a couple of years ago, somebody said, we've got yoga teacher training starting next month. And I was like, nah. And they said, well, you could just take your own practice deeper. That got me. Oh, I could take my own practice deeper. And then I learned so much about my body, how I moved in my body, ways that supported me and ways that didn't. And then I learned where I held on to stress and tension in my body. I knew it, but I didn't know it.
Right.
And I think when we practice things like yoga or Reiki, which is hands-on. And when I practice, I do hands-on. I'm not hovering. If you're in my room on my table, I'm not hovering.
I'm a hands-on person too. Yes.
Yes. We need to be touched. We want to be touched.
I will ask, do you like being touched? Are you okay with being touched? Because I'm a toucher.
Yes.
Just like I'm a hugger, I'm a toucher.
Yes. Exactly. I always ask for consent. And I always ask, is there anywhere you would prefer that I don't touch? I'm not going anywhere inappropriate.
Right.
But if someone doesn't want my hands anywhere near their throat, I get it. That's fine. Just let me know. And also, I'll invite them to notice what comes up for them. Like every story we have in our lives lives in our body in one way or the other. And we can learn so much about ourselves by paying attention.
Absolutely.
Like I don't like to wear high-collared shirts. I have an issue with things touching my throat.
So do I. Oh my God. Except scarves.
Okay.
I'm okay with a cute scarf, but
me
no.
too. Yeah. Cute scarves, right? Same. But I also will knot them in a way that there's a looseness around, my trachea. And I often joke, but it's probably true that I was strangled in a past life. So we have stories from this lifetime, from past lifetimes that live in our bodies because I believe, I'm just coming up with this right now, that the consciousness carries over, the soul carries over. And so those same experiences, some of them, especially the ones that we're meant to work through and release this lifetime, come back into the body and are like, hey, I'm here. What do you like? Can we do this now? Can we work through it this time? But if we refuse a relationship with our body, if we're hands off, if we live in the mind only and we never find the liberation that we can experience when we release the mind and be in the body, it's a huge hole, Hole, not with the W. It's a huge hole. So Who can put on their favorite song and not forget life and move, right? That's embodiment right there, where you completely immerse yourself in your being. There's no doing, there's no thinking, there's no achieving or striving. You're just like in it.
Yes.
That's aliveness. That's you connected, full throttle, spiritual, emotional, and embodied in this vehicle that we are walking through life within.
Absolutely. Do you have time for one more question?
Absolutely.
Okay. You are an ordained minister, bringing spirituality into your happiness work. How do you bridge the gap for people who've been wounded by organized religion, but are hungry for spiritual connection? What does spirituality without dogma look like in practice?
I love that question so much. And something you just said, you said the word bridge. And that's what I believe that I am in this life, is a bridge from where you were to where you choose to be. And having grown up in a Catholic household, I call myself a recovering Catholic. If you've ever watched one of the episodes of Spirit Cafe, which has been on hiatus for a little while, but we're coming back in March.
Good, yay.
Yes, yeah, with a whole new menu. It's so vital to have my best friend always says this: take what you want and leave the rest. So take what works. Being raised Catholic taught me some aspects of respect that I respect, taught me to be kind to my neighbor. Now, I can't say looking around that Christianity or Catholicism actually follows what they preach, which is why it's vital for some of us to step away from organized religion. And I think that, again, it's choosing to. Like, I could just focus on the harm that comes from organized religion, or I could focus on what helps and recognize too, like, people, not all religions or churches or ministers are bad or hurtful. Some are great. Like, my daughter sings in a Methodist church. That's her job. She's a singer, so she's a choral scholar. She's never been in a church with me in her lifetime. I didn't baptize my kids. I didn't raise them to be religious.
Right.
I said, here's what I believe, and you'll come to know your own. And so she goes to church and she hears these things, and she's able to have a conversation with my Catholic mother about her beliefs and bring love into them.
I love that.
Yeah. So I think that just like anything, we use what works. And for me, I knew from an early age that this story they were telling me in church didn't work, but I liked the singing. And my mom said I had to go till I turned 18. So, okay, well, I learned about community, and I learned some things about love, and I learned what I didn't like too. I learned that I could tell when things didn't make sense to me. I could tell in my body, like, what? Nope, it's not jiving. I'm not going to just believe what you tell me because you're telling me. I'm going to run it through my own internal filter of this feels right or this doesn't feel right. And I'm going to accept these bits and I'm going to reject those bits. And when I'm all grown up, and now I am, I can take the parts that are beautiful and loving and kind and bring those into the world. And, I think I won't say most, but many people are just taking what's served and not looking at it and interpreting it for themselves. Oh, this leader said that I should believe this, so I will. Whereas I said, Mom, I'm not buying it. And the day I turned 18, I said, okay, I'm not going to church anymore. And she cried. And she said, oh, this is so sad. You're going to go to hell. And I was like, Mom, I don't need a middleman.
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah. And do you really think I'm going to hell? I'm a good person.
Right.
Like, evaluate your beliefs if that's your story, because I can't believe it. And I do believe that what we believe, we are creating both on earth and afterlife.
Exactly. I did a whole episode on religion versus spirituality. And
Ooh, I'm going to listen to it.
oh, it's to me, I did the whole thing, how I feel. Everybody has just taken it and made it into what they need it to be for themselves and just taken away
Yes.
what's supposed to be, which is just the lessons that are in the book. You know, it's
Yeah.
about the lessons. And if you look at it the right way from the right perspective, you actually would get from it what's intended for us and not what's thrown at us.
Yeah. And I think it's vital that we remember that men wrote those books.
Don't take me there, Tamara.
That's
We
what
don't
Spirit
have time
Cafe
for
was
that.
all about at the beginning.
Oh,
We'll
that's
have
a
to see
whole
if we
other
can get John to
episode.
come back, and we'll do an episode together on that. Yeah. So I'm taking the message of love, and I'm running with that.
That's my message.
And anything that isn't truly love, I'm not accepting that. I'm rejecting that. You cannot tell me I can't love my own child because they are different than what you think any male, female person should be, because they've decided because they know who they are and they're living that experience. So I have a transgender son. You can't tell me that I can't love my child, but your religion and your interpretation of that book say I shouldn't. I should reject them. I'm sorry, no.
Right.
That is not love. That is not what Jesus preached. That is not what I believe religion fundamentally preaches. But power gets mixed up and screws everything up.
Absolutely. My oldest is gay, so yes. I've heard the same thing even from my own mother, who is completely to the left. And it's like, you can't sit there and smile in his face and then literally talk poorly about him.
Right.
When he's not around.
Right.
And you're not going to do that in
Right.
front of me and call yourself a Christian. Like there's a
Exactly.
disconnect there that just does not equate.
Exactly. Like, there's something called integrity. And that is the full living of your beliefs and the way that you behave. So when behavior and beliefs align, that is integrity.
Exactly.
And we are not witnessing that in the majority of the Christian world right now.
No, we're
so not. But I'm living that and you're living that, and I'm teaching my kids to live that.
Exactly. And like you said, it's a trickle-down effect.
Yes.
Oh, Tamara, this conversation has been such a gift. I know that something you've shared today has landed exactly where it needed to land for someone listening right now. Your journey from wanting to escape your life to loving the woman in the mirror and then dedicating yourself to showing others that same path, it's medicine for our community. Before we close, where can our beautiful souls connect with you, learn more about your work, and maybe even join you in the Spirit Cafe?
Ooh, I would love that. I play a lot on both Facebook and Instagram, but you can visit my website, which is alifeyoulovenow.com.
Perfect. I will make sure all of those links are in the description below for you. Tamara, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your vulnerability and, most importantly, your love.
Thank you so much for a beautiful conversation, Jessica.
And to everyone listening, here's what I want you to sit with this week. Take something Tamara said that really struck you and use that as your invitation. Not for someday, not for when everything is perfect, but for right now. Here's my question for you, and I really want to hear from you in the comments. What's one small shift that you can make today to stop faking it for others' comfort and start living more authentically for yourself? Drop your answer below. Let's create that community Tamara was talking about, where we support each other in choosing truth over performance. And if this conversation resonated with you, do me a favor. Share it with one person in your life who needs to hear that they deserve to feel fully alive. Sometimes we need permission from someone else's story to begin writing our own. Thank you for being here, for doing this brave inner work, for choosing awakening over sleepwalking through life. I'll see you next week for another journey inward. Until then, keep awakening to your authentic self.